So let's get right to it, right? So you wrote a review of that interview
Ay,
online,
itulah.
public.
Hello. Yeah.
It's publicly available, right? So what was your, I don't know, what were your sentiments? What was your concern, or is it disappointment with that interview? And it could be on the way I did the interview as well, So anything that you had with the
Uh-huh.
interview.
Well, basically, frankly speaking, after the first two questions, I had to stop. I had to stop listening to the whole thing. I was just so flabbergasted, by what was said lah. I mean, not just that there's no censorship. I don't know whether he's in Singapore or somewhere else on another planet or whatever. And then worse, there's no self-censorship as well. It's just not credible lah. It's very different from the way I've experienced it, unless you tell me that over the past few years things have changed drastically in the Singapore landscape. So so if you start with someone saying that no such thing, then you sort of can tell where the rest is going to go. But anyway, I did go back lah. I did go back and watch the thing again to the end.
Right. Okay. So, let's explore that a little. I think every person I've spoken to shares the same sentiments, like they couldn't, because for us this is not really the Singapore we know, because even on a daily basis there's a lot of self-censorship, right? But we don't come from it through the journalistic angle, right? So you know more about that,
Okay.
right? But I've read, OB markers and so on, and editors explicitly saying that there was some forms of
Yeah.
censorship. So maybe he was defining it
Yeah.
in a different way,
Okay,
and
I can accept
in
that. Maybe he's talking about censorship as, I send my work to somebody and then they go over and then they send it back and then we publish. No, that doesn't happen.
right,
So basically, but then again, it is so clear for any journalist, right? There will be newsmakers who will put pressure on you. Yeah. It need not be official. It could be companies and advertisers and whatever. And I mean, that's why you have PR firms, right? I mean, newsmakers want to look good. If they think something bad is going to come out, they will say, hello, can you don't do this and don't do that, don't do this. And it all depends on whether you have the energy, right? Or, to say, no, I will carry on doing it. So, so basically what he's saying is that this doesn't happen, or if it does, then they always say no lah. But if you think there's no censorship and also no self-censorship, it becomes quite unbelievable. I mean, if you tell me no censorship, but yeah lah, of course we censor ourselves. Okay, something like that. I can say, yeah, but he also makes this distinction between censorship, self-censorship, and editing. Now I know people always have a problem. When we say we edit, they say you censor, right? Let me make this clear. When you edit, you have the reader in mind. The story must be shaped in a way that the reader can understand. You add info to it, you organize it better, you make it flow logically. So at the end of the day, you have the reader in mind. When you self-censor, you're saving your own skin. Okay, so basically you're doing it because, I don't want to get into trouble. Can I afford this? What if people, whatever, then I will have to do this, do that. So that's self-censorship, So of course we do editing. We do editing with the reader in mind. When self-censorship is, I don't want to get into trouble. And frankly speaking, self-censorship is there all the time. And practically, I mean, basically, you just don't want to, overstep some boundaries, and then you get into trouble, and then you have to defend yourself, and so you basically, so it all depends. You see where your principles lie. How far can you go, where you can say, I'm perfectly legitimate saying this, and this is why, And at the end of the day, it's down to facts. What is reporting? Everything is based on facts. If I have the facts, you may dislike how I write it, you may hate the thing, but you cannot quibble with me because I have the facts. So that has always been, that should be the principle of journalism.